Hey Blind Eye friends, I just wanted to hop on here and kind of answer a question that I've seen a couple times where people are like, how do I become a member and what can I do? And I just kind of want to address that in the best way that I can. And some of this is new for us, and we're all going to kind of be working on all of this together simultaneously and just working out some things that we can do to really help just the world in general, but in our own communities as well. So to kind of answer that question, I believe that to be a part of the Blind Eye movement really just means, number one, first and foremost, that you don't have a blind eye right now, that you're not turning a blind eye to things that you're seeing, to things that are happening, and you're not okay with abuse. That's basically the number one thing to being a part of the Blind Eye movement, is that you're not blind to these things, because that is the biggest and most destructive thing that a bystander could do when there is abuse happening, is just to look the other way, to say, like it's not my problem, or you try to shoo it away or hide it, cover it up, all those things. Like, if you do that, if you are one of those people, then you would not be a part of this Blind Eye movement. You would be the thing that we were trying to stop or expose. So that's number one. And there's no fee to being a member. There's no, hey, you got to do XYZ to become a member of our group. And we're not trying to make it so that, only special people can be a part of our group. It is just simply people who are like-minded, that want to end abuse and not cause it and not cover it up. Just to put it very simply. I have my little notes here, so... So knowing that, so to be a member, also you want to know that calling the police or filing a police report of a crime is not a sin. It is not, going against the church to destroy the cause of Christ. Filing a police report or calling the police on a crime is okay. That is not wrong. It's not something to feel shamed about. It is not something that you should be sorry to God about. None of that. Because we believe that filing police reports and calling the cops or having an investigation done on something is okay. It is right. It is what you should be doing to help end and stop abuse. Because if we don't ever say anything, if we don't say, this bad thing is happening, then it just keeps happening. And we know this now. We have so many women, children, men that have been abused, and now that it does keep happening. Sometimes victims are not the only victim of lots of different perpetrators, and so like one perp could have 5 different victims, and it's really, really sad. And it's never the victim's fault if he chooses or she chooses to abuse another person. That's not what I'm trying to say, but it is important for us all to know that it is okay to tell on someone. This is the appropriate time to call the police on someone, to file a report. So that's one subject. And then to go back to hurting the cause of Christ, when preachers or Sunday school teachers or whatever hear about a problem, they'll say, like, don't hurt the cause of Christ by exposing this. Don't tell anyone that this is happening in our church, or else the church will, go down, or we'll lose all of our members, we'll lose our funds, like the tithing and stuff will go down, or our missions will be ruined. What about the kids in Africa that we're supporting? And they can place a lot of guilt that, hey, if you tell the police on us, or if you tell anyone in our community what's happening, then you're going to hurt the cause of Christ. You're going to stop people from getting saved. You're going to, basically ruin our empire just from your story, just from you telling. And that is not true. It might, those things might actually happen. Their empire might be ruined, but that's not okay for you to have that burden. If you are the victim of something, or a bystander of something happening to another person, it's not on you. It's on the perpetrator who caused those actions in the first place, and they would be responsible for that empire falling. They would be responsible for hurting the cause of Christ if it indeed did, if that makes sense. So just be aware of that. And as a member of Blind Eye movement, these are the things that we believe in and would want to tell people about. And then victims of abuse are not to blame. We are not going to be blaming any victim of any age of abuse, sexual or otherwise. When someone gets abused, it is not their fault. and we will not shame you for getting abused or ask you, well, what were you wearing? Or ask you like, well, did you get home on time or did you stay out too late? No. And I know a lot of people do want to ask those questions. Some people are just curious. Some people are just innocently like wanting to know details of like, well, wait, how did that happen? Because some of this is inconceivable. Some of our, mailman scares me every time. I can see out the window. Anyways, some of these stories really are inconceivable and people get curious, but as people of the Blind Eye Movement, we want to be very careful at the questions that we ask. We want to be very gentle with people's emotional health. So anyways, that bullet point was victims are not to blame for whatever abuse they endured, whether it's man, woman, child. If you suffered abuse, it is not your fault. And then let's see. The list could go on and on about all the things like we as a Blind Eye Movement believe and how we feel and how we think, and we're all just individual people. Like, yes, we're a big group of people, but we all have individual beliefs as well. And we all have our own opinions, we all, believe a little differently, churches, everyone has their own opinions about church or religion in general. And we are not trying, as the Blind Eye Movement, we are not trying to just take down churches just to burn them to the ground. We are trying to expose what happens there. And if somebody wants to worship, like, we believe in freedom to worship, like freedom of religion. That's fine. We're not trying to just destroy all religions, but we need to destroy the evil within. We need to destroy the ideals that they are running by that make this the breeding ground to keep abusing over and over again. That's what needs to be destroyed, not the ability to worship freely. That's not what we're trying to destroy. And like I said, the list goes on of all of our beliefs and like what we feel, but just if you want to be a Blind Eye member, these are basically what we are trying to do and what we think. But first and foremost, like, if you want to be involved in our page and chat on our page and look at our posts and everything, one of the first things you have to do is take care of your mental health yourself. Like, take care of you, your mind, your body, your soul. Make sure your health is the priority of your life, because if you're not healthy and you're not strong, it's very hard to take care of anyone else. And I say that seriously, because reading other people's stories, no matter what page it's on, no matter what website, if you're reading other people's abuse stories, it will no doubtably affect you, and it can trigger you. It can make you spiral back to where, you might feel like you're in a really bad place. So your mental health is a priority. So if you are on our page and something is like just really, really triggering, please take time to address that. Don't, bottle it up. Don't ignore it. Listen to your body. Like, I tell my kids this all the time, even when it comes to eating, because I want them to have a healthy eating habit and have like a healthy idea of their body and their selves. So I just say like, okay, listen to your body. Don't stuff yourself, don't starve yourself, just listen to your body. When it says it's full, it's full. And listen to your body. If you're saying like your body's telling you you're overwhelmed, you're stressed, your heart's racing, your anxiety's ramping up, and sometimes you don't always know why you're feeling the way you're feeling, but listen to it and take the time to, ask yourself like, okay, why am I feeling like this? Like, what is really bothering me? And there's 1,000 things you can do. Well, first of all, you can get a counselor, of course. That's like a licensed therapist is definitely one way to go to take care of your mental health, because we don't always have the tools to know how to do that. Especially if you've grown up in IFB, a lot of it is just guilt, and you're feeling this way because you're a sinner. You're feeling this way because it's the devil attacking you. And that doesn't really help. That doesn't help nail down like, what is it that's like making me feel this way, and how do I get past that? How do I not feel this way? So there's a million things, and I'm not a counselor. I am not, licensed in any way of that sort of thing. So I don't claim to be that. I have been in counseling basically my whole life because of my rough time of life. So do I know a lot of things that can help me? Yes. So I can just tell you based on my personal experience. The other girls can tell you what works for them. And yeah, there's lots of different things, but do your own research on like who you get help from and who you listen to. And if one therapist doesn't work for you because their personality kind of stinks and maybe they just don't like have a good vibe, then switch to another one. And I know money sometimes is an issue. So just really do what is best for you. Maybe save up for it. Maybe just try it for like a month or two. something like that. But otherwise, there's lots of books, lots of videos on just, even if you are struggling with, like I said, like things are just stressing you out or you're getting triggered by your emotions. There's lots of little short clips on YouTube that help me. I just watched one this morning and it was really helpful. Just ideas of what kind of tools you can have in your tool belt for when you're stressed out, for when you're struggling with something. But like I said, be careful with who you listen to. And if one thing doesn't work for you, it's okay. Try something else. There's lots of different ideas and everyone is so different that there is no one shoe fits all when it comes to mental health and when it comes to stress or trauma. So definitely shop around for ideas on how to de-stress and how to take care of your mental health if you want to be on our page and reading through everything. And because like I said, it can be triggering. So be careful. And also, let's see. The other thing you can do as a Blind member is just spreading the news. If you know someone that's in a Baptist church, ask them like, what is their policies on, if something happens in their church. And you can just open up the conversation. We don't want to send a bunch of preacher boys and girls out there preaching at everybody of what they're doing wrong being in a Baptist church. That's not what we want to do. We want to help open people's eyes, and nobody is as accepting to screaming or yelling or degrading, even though that's how we were raised in a Baptist church. Like that's what they would do. But I feel like people would be much more open if you just simply ask questions like, hey, what does your church do about child safety? What do they do about, training people on how to be mandated reporters, like their teachers and because a lot of Baptist churches are also schools and also colleges. So you could just simply bring those conversations to the table, especially because a lot of us have family members that are still Baptist. They still go to the same old churches. They still do the same old song and dance that they don't dance though, because that's wicked. But you know what I'm saying? Just bring up those conversations, because with starting with your own mental health, then you can start reaching out to others, people in your family and in your community, and talk to them about this stuff. And then make sure, check in on your family members of their mental health as well, especially if they're going to a Baptist church. Like, Lord, their mental health is probably not so good, being guilted about every single thing they do every single day. So yeah, that's one way to do it. And let's see. If you know about abuse in your church, talk about it out loud. Don't be scared that you're not helping people go to heaven because you talked about abuse. If anything, if you want to be a good Christian or a good Baptist, whatever you are, I think God would much rather have you protect children than hurt them. So keep that in mind when a pastor or someone in authority is telling you, you're not going to allow people to go to heaven if you tell on that, if you tell on us about this situation. Like, no, I think anyone trying to be Christ-like would not want to harm children and hide it. Just saying. That's my opinion. And let's see. I already said that. Oh, I do want to say be very careful with scams, because, this is my first experience being associated with any type of TV series or documentary, and I know, like, my story was not told on that, so it wasn't like, oh, it was about me. It's my first experience seeing it from, like, the backside of things, like behind the scenes. So it is very interesting. And now that I'm seeing a documentary come out that, like, yes, my friends were in, and then I got to know some friends because of it. It's really sad to see a real documentary series come out, and then there's a lot of people taking that content, taking that documentary series and putting it on their platforms, and it looks like they're trying to charge people to watch it through their recordings or through their YouTube. Not everyone's charging. Some people are just playing it for free on YouTube, but it's kind of sad because, like, I know how hard all of these people worked on these documentary series, and they, put years and years of filming into these series, and then there's just a bunch of people taking, their 4 hours worth of content and just putting it on their own platforms and stuff like that. So that is really sad. Like, I didn't realize that people would do that. And we already saw a Facebook group that says, let us pray, with the wrong spelling of pray, but it has the documentary's picture on their background picture, and then their profile picture is just a cropped down version of that. So it's Ruthie's face and the other girls that were in the documentary. It's just like, so it looks like a legit page, but when you click on the link, it asks for a credit card and everything, and I don't believe you can actually even watch it. So be very cautious about that, and be very careful with your stories, because I mean, a lot of victims are telling their stories either on our page or through Messenger, and you want to just be careful if anyone reaches out to you and says like, I'll give you money for your story, or, you know, I want to do interviews, whatever. Like, just be really cautious of who it is and make sure you trust them. And I mean, we would love to do that too, you know, be able to talk with you and share stories back and forth, and we do have some plans in the works about that. But two, just make sure it's someone that isn't going to just take your story and run with it and, you know, just put it on their whatever kind of platform without your consent and things like that. And I know, I mean, it's really hard. Everything goes on the internet and everyone's talking about everything, which, I mean, yeah. So just be cautious about that. That's all I'm trying to say. Make sure if it feels like a scam, probably is. Or just ask someone to like help you verify, like, do you think this sounds legit? Like, do you think this is okay? Because if you're like me, I'm a very like gullible person and I fall for stuff. And yeah, so just from personal experience, please just use caution, because your story is super important, and that is your story and yours alone to tell how you want it. And we just really respect that with our Blind Eye Girls. Like, we really try to take that seriously, and we do want to do you justice. If we ever talk about your story or whatever, we want your full like consent. And yeah, so just be careful about any scams or anything that's related to the documentary series that doesn't, you know, have like the actual Investigation Discoveries logo and things like that, because it might not be real and you might be paying for something that is not the real thing. And that's just really unfortunate that people are taking advantage of that when this is like very serious and very precious. Like, I am so beyond proud of all the women in the documentary series that were brave enough to say something and to know that it was going to be public and everyone would be watching, friends and family alike. So it's a very special thing, and it's very sad that some people are taking advantage of that, and it's very sad. And I'm sorry to the documentary platforms and all the people behind the scenes that work so hard, and, you know, whatever. So that's, yeah, that's unfortunately, I guess, humans. Yeah, I think I got through all my notes, but basically my last thing was, this is your story, so you know, tell it if you want to, and just use caution for like people that are reaching out to you or trying to like ask too many questions. And, you know, you can kind of feel out the ones that are genuinely like, oh my goodness, you know, like old friends or whatever, and they want to know what happened. But use caution, like giving details, because some people are just super curious and they just really want to know. And there's some people that have ill intentions, so just, you know, use caution. Being on our page, and, you know, you're welcome to just chat in the comments, you know, everybody just get to know each other. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are commenting their stories, you know, just out on the page, and that's, you know, you're more than welcome to do that. And I think it's a really good outlet, as long as we're all just taking caution. We all just try to stay safe with it and protect your mental health, keep your own mental health a priority. And then as you're wanting to help, basically just help within your home first, which I forgot to mention. So your mental health first, so that you're strong enough to help someone else, and that you're strong enough to take care of you and your family, because that's a huge priority. And these are very sensitive topics, and they are very triggering. So take care of your own mental health. And then if you have a spouse or children, man or woman, does not matter. If you have a spouse to also take care of and be in a relationship with, you know, make sure that that is healthy and strong. And then your children, because being a part of the Blind Eye movement, we all need to make sure we're healthy from within first, and that your children are being checked on, and you're, you know, asking them those good questions if they're getting moody or something's happening and you're just like, I don't know what it is. Like, take time to talk to them, because the biggest thing that hurt kids being abused is that we couldn't tell anybody things, right? And most of us had to keep this secret for a really long time. So it's super important to talk to your kids, and talk to them often. Make it, you know, a habit. And I don't mean you have to be like, every Sunday you got to sit at the table and talk. No, I just mean like one-on-ones. Have talks with them and let them know, like, hey, if anybody tells you to keep a secret, you know, mommy and daddy are here to listen to you. You don't ever have to be afraid of telling us something. So I get dramatic with it. I will be like, I don't care if you know, did whatever this kind of crime. I don't care how huge it is. I want you to tell me, so that they don't fear the littler things. Like, hey, this guy gave me a hug and he told me not to tell you. I don't want them to be scared of the little things I basically make it big and dramatic. Like, you can tell me you did everything and I will love you and I want to know about it. It's basically the thing, okay? I'm not saying I'm telling my kids to commit crimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, letting them know that I'm not going to judge you. I am here for you and I don't want you to keep secrets. And if someone's telling you to keep secrets from your parents or your loved ones or your teachers, like, that means you need to tell someone. So like, start there, start in your home with opening the blind eyes, because maybe your spouse has a blind eye towards all this like religious stuff, and maybe your spouse is one of the ones that you're like, yeah, they were kind of covering stuff up and I didn't know what to do and I couldn't say anything. Like, start talking. Start talking in your own home first, and then you can branch out if you're feeling healthy enough and strong enough to branch out and do other things in your community or chat with people that you see their stories and you're like, yeah, I totally know what you're talking about and I feel you. You can chat with them on the page and just really start from there. Okay. All right. I have probably rambled too long, but I hope that kind of helps answer that question of like, how can you be a part of this movement? And that's really where it should start, is at home with your own mental health, and then branch out, help your kids, help your spouse, help people in your family, communities, ask lots of questions, and really let this all come out. And let it be okay for victims to tell their stories. Let it be okay for victims to come forward without feeling the shame and without hurting the cause of Christ, because that's not true. We're not hurting the cause of Christ by telling them, the truth. So anyways, have a great day, everyone. Bye.